Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. Apologies for being late, but here are the patch notes for the X-Men Hellfire Gala update. Now, this is a mid-month update. It will be applied in waves as the mid-month patches do, so there won't be any downtime maintenance of 8 hours, and the patch will actually start at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is pretty early. This is nice. However, because of that, it is going to be a smaller mid-month patch, so we'll have to wait another 2 weeks for the larger patch, for the larger update, whatever that may be. Whether that's going to be No Way Home Part 2, whether that's going to be Hellfire Gala Part 2, or something else entirely. I'm not sure. I wanted to say, I wanted to actually make a second video. I didn't end up doing that, but I basically wanted to say, even though it seems like with the Hellfire Gala coming now, that there won't be a part 2 for No Way Home, I don't want to completely rule that out. It's definitely possible that Marvel and Sony have agreed on more, more of an expanded merchandising and sort of advertising route this time, because the movie is different and it's sort of like the culmination of years of work. And Puzzle Quest did release a Dr. Octopus based on No Way Home, so we do have one game and one character that has been shown to already exist. Right now, it's Puzzle Quest, not necessarily the most popular Marvel game to base a theory on, but nevertheless, it could be possible that Marvel is just telling their other games to, give us a little bit of breathing room. Let us get towards the end of January, which would be when the main update for Marvel Future Road would come at the end of January, beginning of February. And maybe that will be when they want to reveal the villains for No Way Home. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. Obviously, it's pure speculation. It's also very well possible that the next full update was going to be like Hellfire Gala Part 2, because that would also make sense. And it could also just be something entirely different, which somehow could also make sense. Marvel Future Fight's kind of all over the place, which is nice. It keeps us on our toes. So, moving along to the patch, it's fairly straightforward. To give you guys a summary of it, we're getting a new uniform and new massive upgrades for Betty Braddock, who I will now be referring to as Betty Braddock, Betsy, excuse me, Betsy Braddock, aka Captain Britain. Sorry guys, I woke up not too long ago. Mr. Sinister and Colossus, and then all three of them are getting artifacts, and all three of them are getting an awakening skill. So basically, the update is just all about these three mutants and their upgrades. So let's just talk quickly about what we can expect from each character. So Betsy here, aka Captain Britain, gets a pretty massive upgrade. Now, Betsy, formerly known as Psylocke, was really strong when she came out as a Crystal Wall deluxe pack character for the Strife Epic Quest and the Deadpool Epic Quest, and then she sort of fell off, and then she got a uniform, and then she was sort of meta again, and then she sort of fell off. I think we're going to be right back to meta here for Betsy. She gets a crazy uniform effect with 30% HP, 40% ignore dodge, and then skill damage bonus damage. Okay. Then her passive gives her guard break immunity. Okay, and her other passive gives her mind damage guaranteed crit rate, which means she could use a rage if you don't use a judgment for her, so she seems flexible. Obviously, she could also possibly use an energy if she has a nice proc friendly rotation, and then 30% crit damage. So it's gonna be very easy to cap her stats, and she has a bunch of PvE and PvP abilities already. Now, what we'll see here for Betsy is that she only has 3 new skills, 3, 4, and 5. So that means that her 1 and 2 are the same, and that's okay because her 1 is fine and her 2 is actually quite good. Now, her 3 is a V-pad skill, which I'm very excited for, to be able to move Betsy around the arena. It also has a 16% heal, which is really nice, and it keeps some of the immunity. It gives her a frenzy buff as well. It does. I don't know if it has the charge ability that her current 3rd skill has, where the longer you hold it, the more the buff builds. It doesn't seem like that's the case because it's a V-pad skill. But she also has pretty short cooldowns, 14, 17, and 18 seconds. So she could be proc friendly. She's got a lot of minus 100 mind resist skills. So regular World Boss Ultimate, especially Ebony, is like dunzo for Captain Britain. And then she's got a buff here of 7 seconds. And then she also has a damage proc of 60% here on the 5th skill with Ignore Immunity Paralysis. Does she also have Burn? I think she also has Burn and Silence on her 5th skill. So she could have a future in ABX. We'll have to wait and see. I believe also Mr. Sinister has it. But yeah, Betsy's looking pretty solid. And her artifact bumps up, things even more. But we'll have to wait and see. Mr. Sinister, on the other hand, called this dude Mr. Fantastic so many times This is his first uniform, so this should be a pretty big one for Mr. Sinister. And they went all out here. They reworked all 5 of his skills plus his 2 passives. They also give him guard break immunity and ignore dodge on his uniform, but they also give him guaranteed dodge. So I think they're leaning more towards PvP with Mr. Sinister here. He gets a pretty cool passive. When he's below 50%, he heals and he removes debuffs for 10 seconds. Now it does have a 90-second cooldown, so this seems like it's not gonna, it's not gonna bail you out more than once in PvP. This would be nice for PvE because this can trigger 3 times during a fight if it's a 5-minute fight against Null or Mephisto or whoever. So that's pretty cool that you can get that 3 times, and that should basically mean that he never dies, because you'll see he has other ways of healing himself, I think, or maybe not, but yeah, he does. But yeah, that's cool. And then he maintains, they actually kept, I thought they were going to get rid of the summons and get rid of his summon motif, but they didn't. They're just doubling down on it, which is kind of cool. And then they decrease his damage received. But here we go. So Mr. Sinister is all about cloning, genetics, and that sort of duplication thing, and they kept it that way. He's got a 7-second summon that you can refresh every 7 seconds on his first skill. He's got another 7-second summon here. Now there's a bit of a translation error. It's supposed to say copies the target to summon an illusion. So I don't think anyone ever had the cojones to use Mr. Sinister in PvP before, but I'm not sure if you can create an illusion that is your enemy in PvP, because that would be hilarious, right? If Mr. Sinister is fighting Sentry or Doom or Spider-Man, and then he casts the Hellion Chalice, and then you get another Spider-Man on the field as a clone for 9 seconds. That would be absolutely hilarious. I don't expect these clones to be extremely meta, because they're only copying 100% of his stats, and that's just not enough. I mean, it might be enough with Transcendence. Who knows? He's going to be the first Transcended character to actually have clones, so I actually shouldn't be this pessimistic. It's possible, depending on what the stat bump is for him. But it'll be really hilarious nonetheless. It's got a pretty long cooldown, but that's okay, because it's all about that. And then they kept his really cool 3rd skill, Genetics Shockwave, where he basically heals himself and buffs himself, and then the heal and the buff go up depending on how many clones you have, how many summons you have on the field at the time. So it's really cool. So he gets 70%. He gets a 70% attack buff for 7 seconds, and then that doubles for each surviving summoned character. So it's either 70 or 140 or possibly 210% attack buff if there are 3 illusions on the field at once. Now, it'll be very, very hard to get 3 summons on the field at the same time, but I don't know if Weapon Hex's summons count for that, because then that would be a cheeky way of always having 1 summon up for Mr. Sinister. So it'll be pretty interesting to see. That's all I have to say. And then he has incapacitation, paralysis, he has a frenzy buff, he has immunity, and then he's got some defense down and invincibility. So yeah, he's looking pretty good. It'll really just come down to, I think, what his stat buff and his stat bonus looks like with the uniform, because we now know that they can tweak the base stats with the uniform like they did for Spidey, and then what his stat bump looks like for Transcendence. If his summons have a lot of HP, he could be a serious problem for PvP. It should be very interesting to see what happens. And then our boy Colossus. I think some people are going to be disappointed in Colossus because they're looking, I think everyone's eyes just immediately go to Peter's Will, his passive that everyone uses for PvP, and they were hoping to see that 50% jump up to like 75% or something, and it didn't. So people are like, oh, okay, and they're kind of disappointed. I don't think it really matters. I'm just excited to use Colossus in other content, because that's where I think he's going to shine. So he is now a hero. He's not a villain now. He's now a hero. So that's really interesting. And he maintains the leadership ability. Remember that. So he can take advantage of all of White Fox's buffs. I want you to remember that. His passive gives him the damage reduction and physical damage reduction. His tier 2 passive, Peter's Will, or his 4-star passive, is basically the same. I don't think it actually changed. It may have just increased the decreases the damage received from physical reflect by 5%. I honestly think that is the only change that they made to that. But yeah, the damage reduction is still 50%, which is exactly what it was before. I'm just trying to double check here, but I cannot find Colossus to save my life. Here we go. Yeah, I think they just increased this from 60 to 65%. So they're really not trying to play with this. They think this is balanced already. That's fine. His tier 2 passive, he's going to still get the super armor, all defense. He's going to get the physical reflect, and he's going to get the massive skill damage bonus damage. That 45-40 is getting increased from 30 to 15. Yeah. So that's a lot. And actually, the basic defense is doubling from 15 to 30, which is nice. And then he gets 5 new skills. Some of them have the same name, so I'm not sure if they're new skills. We'll have to wait and see. But the thing with Colossus is they've kept most of the effects on his skills, and the effects look really strong. Lots of, you know, stun, silence, incapacitation, paralysis, all defense down, fracture, this kind of stuff. But we'll just have to see. He needs hits. That was really the issue with Colossus. He did hit hard with this Phoenix Force uniform. It's just that he didn't have enough hits on his skills for it to really matter for a damage proc or some sort of CTP. Now, the only real difference here is that they changed the cooldown on 2 of his skills. These skills used to have a 10-second cooldown each, so maybe that's why they didn't have a lot of hits. Now it's 16 and 18. But now they have a crazy frenzy buff and this other, you know, 40% defense buff. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. That's really what it comes down to. He's got a lot of effects. He's got penetration. He's got self buffs. He's got everything except healing and iframe ignore. That's all he's missing, really. And the artifact actually gives him healing, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, all 3 of these look good on paper, some better than others, but we'll have to see how they play in game tonight. By the way, if you're wondering if this dude ever stops blathering on, where you can catch all this content right away, twitch.tv/Cynicalex. It's where I stream Marvel Future Fight updates, and that's where I will be tonight at 10 p.m. So actually not even 12 hours from now, because this video is mad late. And that's where I will be, you know, diving in. I'm going to transcend all 3 of these bad boys right away, and we're going to get into it and see how much stronger they are. Now, as far as their awakening skill goes, there's not too much to talk about, except that Betsy Braddock is the only one that gets accumulation from her ability. It says Psylocke here, but yeah, her Excalibur attack accumulation or awaken skill does have accumulation. I believe Colossus has accumulation on his 5th skill, but yeah, that's really the only difference between their 3 skills. And yes, they all have burn and I believe just burn, not silence. Okay, and then this is what the awakening skill looks like. It's pretty cool. Colossus spins in like a maelstrom tornado, maelstrom of metal. Mr. Sinister duplicates himself and then shoots these beams down, which actually looks really sick because they come on the sides there. And then Betsy just slices through everybody with the psionic blades, which is pretty sick. She's sort of on the, it's kind of hard to see, she's on the bottom there. But yeah, she sort of comes in on one side and finishes on the other side after everybody's dead. So yeah, should be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this. And then we got the new artifacts. And this has sort of become a place where, you know, we sort of, it's exciting, but it's also, So let's take a look here. Betsy gets a passive effect on her artifact that's always triggered. So it doesn't have a cooldown or doesn't have an effect where, you know, there's a chance to trigger. And it basically gives her, like, perpetually 80% chance to increase her basic crit damage by 35%. So that means that her crit damage, instead of capping at 200%, will be able to exceed that cap up to 235%. Given the fact that she also has guaranteed crit rate, and also given the fact that she has crit damage on her uniform, it should be very easy to cap her crit damage, and she should be critting like crazy, like half the time she should be critting. So this may increase her damage by a lot. We'll have to wait and see, but this looks like this could be a sleeper effect for PvE artifacts. That sort of makes Betsy lean towards PvE rather than PvP, which is fine. But then on the other hand, Mr. Sinister, they wanted to lean him towards PvP. So what did they give him? They gave him the Wolverine, Hela, and Null passive. It's no longer the Null passive. It's the Hela, Wolverine, Null passive. And basically, when he's below 5%, he summons a clone, which is so cool. It's just like Doctor Doom, where you fight the Doom bot at first, and then he heals himself and he becomes immune to death for up to 7 seconds. So yeah, that's very PvP focused. We'll have to see. You'll have to wait and see if the rest of his kit lives up to that moniker. And then, unfortunately, Colossus gets a heal. 50% chance when he's hit, recover 10%. And this is 10% at 6 stars. So this one I'm a little bit disappointed in. I'm fine with Betsy. I'm fine with Mr. Sinister. But this one I'm kind of disappointed in. I feel like they should have given him the heal on his kit and made the artifact something else. It's got a very low cooldown, 5 seconds. I don't think it's enough of a cooldown. Like I don't think this is going to make him very meta for PvP. I mean, he'll still be meta for PvP as a support because they didn't change his support passive. But the difference is that, you know, I don't think he's going to be a standalone PvP colossal, because he's still going to have to compete with combat types like Wolverine, Gilgamesh, and with a heal this infrequent, right? It's only a 50% chance when you're hit. So he could be, you could roll on the wrong side of that coin. You could flip on the wrong side of that coin just a few times and then he dies, right? Because you know how people, some characters hit so hard that it doesn't really take that many hits. We'll have to wait and see, but it'll be interesting to see. But I'm not really too happy with this one. I'm fine with these two, not too happy with Colossus's, and then that's it. We also have the bug, the unique ability bug has been fixed. So it's not fixed right now. I'll show you what it looks like, but it will be fixed after this patch. So basically what's happening is that when you go into Shadowland or other content where you need to filter by the unique ability, oh, okay, it's working. Okay, I don't know what happened. It was working and now it's not working. See, now when I press it, it doesn't show me that drop down menu again. Anywho, they're gonna fix this. I don't know why it worked there for a second. That was really strange. Anyway, it's bugged, so they're fixing it. So yeah, those are the patch notes. Apologies for being late. These are pretty short patch notes. This is a pretty short mid-month update. But yeah, keep in mind, guys, this is just a mid-month update. This is not a full update. And December wasn't supposed to have a full update anyways. So honestly, it may seem like we're getting less content, but we're actually getting more content. It's just that it's a little bit delayed at the moment because of December having a full update where it usually doesn't. I know that last year December did have a full update, but that was because November didn't have an update at all, and just the way that it worked out with the timing for the Dark Avengers Epic Quest. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of all this. I'll hit you guys up on twitch.tv/Cynicalex tonight at 10. And thank you so much for watching the video, and smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Take care.